In this video, it is mini LMT upgrade time. We have these parts from Bowhouse RC. Simple ESC and battery tray that lowers them down on the chassis to help with overall center of gravity and help the truck be a little bit more stable. I'm going to try to do a before and after comparison to see just how much difference these make. We'll show you how to install them. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Troy. This is RoadsideRC. You tend to find me bashing or crawling or drifting or racing, plus doing product review videos and how-tos. Let's get started by seeing what these parts are, getting them out of the bag. Little dog bone shape in there. So I believe this is probably the ESC tray. And this, I'm guessing, is the battery tray. Alright, before we get too far, I want to test just how far can the current truck factory go without tipping over. It has the battery and everything loaded in it. That is 50 degrees. Make sure we're not doing anything here. Alright, we're coming up. Starting to get light. Testing it multiple times there back to back, about 63 degrees. It doesn't quite get to 65. It tips over just before. So we're going to take all this stuff out, swap it over to the new parts, and then see, does it make a noticeable difference or not? First thing we need to do is get the factory trays out of here. So I see 2 screws there, 2 here, and the battery tray will come off. I then see 1, 2, 3, 4 on the front tray. So I bet if I take those 6 out, all of this will come loose as one bit. Of course, we're going to have to free the ESC up. It is on top of here with 2 screws, and its little plug holder here has 2 screws on it as well. And there we go. That is all free. Whole parts tray is now out. I'm going to need to clean all of this adhesive off. Sometimes you can just peel it off, because obviously we're going to need some more in order to attach it back down to the new tray. The ESC plate here looks very, very straightforward. It looks like we could literally just bolt it in, these 2 screws back into those holes right on top of the sway bar there, and right in like that. That, very nice. Should be very, very helpful. You can see the dramatic difference that we are lowering this ESC down in that chassis. I'm going to be honest, and at first I was a little confused as to how we were going to mount this ESC back to this tray, and I thought maybe I was just going to have to do double-sided tape and maybe a zip tie through right here. And maybe that's what those holes are set up for, is if you're running a different ESC. But then I noticed this little hole here and that little hole here. From the factory, these little brackets were pinched in on the sides of the ESC here, but you can actually move them to the ends, and it looks like if you move both of them to the ends, replacing where the power switch was, and then swapping the power switch over, maybe it can go over here on this side now, something like this, then it looks like, or the other way around, maybe we've actually put it up now like that, so it's easier to get to. And it looks like this will literally just bolt down using those holes, and that is awesome. Super convenient. Good job, Bowhouse. In order to get this back tray in, we're not quite done taking stuff off yet. We still have to take this screw hole here and this out, because this tray is actually going to mount with these tabs forward all the way down in that position. That is dramatically lower than it was before, and we need to get those screws out because it's going to go in those holes. And that does mean that we're going to lose this brace right here. But it's okay, because this part's going to take its place and provide plenty of strength. Oh, I missed a vital piece here. So it turns out these holders that clamp down and hold the rubber band, they need to get put on. So I need to take them from this. By getting that screw out of the bottom, we can then pull it up. So it comes in here. You have to flex the chassis just a little bit to get it all the way down there and lined up. Pow, look at that. That is great. We're going to put those same screws right back in. Ah, look at us now. We are all in. We have the battery strap in. This rear mount is in. Front mount's in with the ESC. And you'll notice there's some more wires showing now. So the servo wire up here needs to be tied up. I think I'm going to try to tie it to the side of the chassis here. This big wire, what I really want to do with the motor lead wires is I want to cut and resolder in order to just get rid of a bunch of length, but that will be at a different time. So for now, I think they're all going to get zip tied up right here off to the side. Notice that we did lose our little fancy ESC main power plug holder in this whole thing, but that's okay. Honestly, it's kind of a pain in the tail anyway. It's a lot easier to pull these apart when you can actually grab the other side. And I'm gonna have to watch my lights here. My lights are not as, you know, out of the way as they maybe once were before, so just need to be careful with those wires. So now we're gonna get the battery in it, and we're gonna see if this is actually any better side hill than it was from the factory. Just like we did before the swap, I'm going to do this once on camera and then a whole bunch of times off of camera so I can really make sure I'm getting an accurate number, that I'm up against the tires right. Okay, that's over. Oh, let me see. We were at 63-ish degrees factory. Let me do this a couple more times and I'll come back and we'll see what it is. So what I'm doing, I'm watching the angle. Oh, and there it goes with the truck again. This is interesting. Behind the scenes is what this actually really is. This is like try number 4 or 5 because it doesn't appear to have made a difference so far. So you can see the rear tire gets light right there. Rear tire is starting to come off and I'm at like 64 degrees. Right there, rear tire is off. So you can tell it's about to fall. Maybe at 65 it's bouncing a little bit because I'm shaking. 65. Maybe a degree, maybe 2 degrees if we're really gonna be, really gonna be kind. Maybe a couple degrees. What sense does that make? So what's the whole theory? Let's rewind and talk about what the whole theory is here. It's been proven time and time again. If you can lower the weight in a vehicle, it will make that vehicle more stable. It should go around corners easier. It should be more stable. And again, I know this is a monster truck, so I know my side hill test is not exactly a monster truck test, but it should be, I would think it would correlate to how well and stable it is in corners, right? Like if I did that with like the TRX4 MT as an example, it's gonna tip over at like 30 degrees because that thing is so top heavy. This is dramatically more stable than it is. So like this is all the logical thing to do. And you can see how much we dropped the electronic height in this vehicle, but yet it didn't really make a difference. Maybe we gained a degree, maybe we gained 2 degrees, something like that. Maybe what we're doing is we're just finding the natural tipping point of the overall chassis, and we haven't made enough weight difference to actually account for much. Maybe that's really what's going on here, because 65 degrees, think about it, we're past 45, which means for a while then, there's more of this truck pulling down than over. The electronics have already gone past 45 as well, so maybe my test is bad. I don't know. It's logical. Move electronics down. It's just logical. I still think this is the logical thing to do. And the price is cheap. I forget what these were. I'll pop up a little screenshot here of what these were. But I remember thinking that it was cheap enough that I wasn't even second guessing buying it. And so I think if you have a Losi LMT Mini and you are concerned about how good it turns and how well it handles, I still think this Bowhouse thing, it's the right thing to do. And maybe my test just didn't show it well enough. If you're interested in anything else that I've done with this truck, there'll be a little LMT playlist popping up over here to your right. And I hope to see you in one of those videos. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.